All right, it's Mr. Rops here, and we're going to talk about data tables with frequency, and we're going to do our 5-number summary and make a box and whisker plot to see what we can see. So if we read this problem, it says a group of 40 students were asked to record the number of books they read over the past 12 months. Results are shown in the table below. So these are number of books read, and this is frequency. And I'm 40 students, but where are the 40 students? We have to think about where the 40 comes from. And if we consider here, if I go 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 13 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2, that is a total of 40 students. So these are my total number of students, and these are the books. And so what this list actually looks like, I have to consider I have 40 students. If I'm going to do the 5-number summary, right, I need to order the list from the smallest to the biggest. I have to do that. And so what that would mean is I would have one book of 1. How many people read 4 books? Well, 5 of them. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fours. How many people read 5 books? Well, 8 people. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many people read 6 books? Well, there are 6 would be 13. I'd be 13 sixes, and then I would have 7 sevens, and I would have 4 eights, and 2 nines. And I could take all this data and add it to my calculator. And I could go and I could give each one a number, and I could figure out my 5-number summary. So from this, if I wanted to find the median, and there's 40 students, I'm going to look for number 20. So I'd have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, because there's 13 in here. My 20 would be in the 6. And so the median will be 6. If I count my first 10 for my quartile 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, quartile 1 will be 5. But this is just with 40. Imagine if you had like 4,000. It's harder to write them out. And so what we can do, our calculator will deal with all of this scenario as opposed to listing them out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my calculator now, and I'll clear my history. I'm going to go to Stat, and I'm going to go to Edit. And you'll see that I've already put in list 1, I put the number of books read, and in list 2, I put the frequencies here. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to Stat, I'm going to calculate one variable statistics, because it's only books read. Enter. My list is L1. My frequency list, though, is this one. I put it into L2, so I'm going to go second L2. Okay, so you have to be aware, is there frequencies or does everyone count as 1? And I hit calculate, and here are my final results. I have a mean of 5.95. And if I go down, I can get my 5-number summary here. From here as well, I get my 5-number summary from my data table. From the 5-number summary, I can make a box and whisker plot, and I can check for outliers as well. So before we get to that though, let me talk about the mean. In order to calculate the mean, we have to add up all those numbers. We have to add the 1, the 5 fours, and then 8 fives, 8 fives, and so on. So that's 1. That's going to be 4 times 5 is 20. So to find the total number of books, I multiply these. I multiply, and then I add them all up and divide it by the 40 books, and that will give 5.95. Here is my standard deviation estimate of the population. This is the standard deviation of this actual data set. And so that's how these values are calculated. But if I want to actually do determine if there's an outlier now. If I want to determine if there's an outlier, if we remember, we have to do Q1, We know our Q3. Well, I have to do the IQR times 1.5. Well, the IQR is 7 minus 5. It's 2. 2 times 1.5 is equal to 3. If you don't believe me, 2 times 1.5 is equal to 3. And so then I'm going to go Q3 to find my upper boundary, Q3 plus 3, which is going to be 10. And my lower boundary is Q1 minus 3, which is going to be 5. Take away 3 is 2. And so if I bring my little value over here, I can come and determine if there's going to be an outlier. And so I'm going to put some of these values on. Let me draw my box and whisker. My median is 6. Q3 is 7. Q1 is 5. Here's my box. Now I'm going to put on my boundaries here. My boundary for Q3 is 10. Okay? Is the maximum above 10? No. So therefore, I go up to 9, and I'm there, and I get rid of my boundary. When I look at my boundary for lower end, I got 2 as my boundary. Is there, oh, there is a value. There's one value on the lower end, so it is a 1. I put a little mark at 1, and then I go up to my next lowest value is 4, and so I put a line here at 4, and go to here, and then I erase my boundary away. And so here is my box and whisker plot with an outlier shown and my one variable statistic shown with that. Now, I can do this with my calculator, which is something we should do. So I'm going to go to my stat plot. I'm going to go to my list. Note that my frequency, though, is not 1. My frequency is going to be list 2. And then I'm going to zoom to number 9 stat. And there again you see what I've drawn down below. I've drawn something similar. To make it precise, I should put number of books read. Now, when I look at this, how many students read between 7 and 9 books? Well, I know there are 40 students in general, so that means there's approximately 10 students in here. There's also, in this value here, there's 10 in here, there's 10 in here, and 10 here. So here is 9, and there's number 10. And so even though these distances, there's a bigger range of values, there's still 10 students represented. And so we can use our frequency table to find our 5-number summary or box plot, but be careful when you're doing statistics. Sometimes you might want to go back, and when you're doing calculations, make sure you recognize, do I need a frequency list or not, or should I just go and delete that value and go without? And so this would just give me statistics on these numbers here, which is not very helpful for me.